Last week, I put out a video giving my thoughts and feedback on Black Ops 6 Zombies. So this week, we're going to give some feedback and my thoughts on the multiplayer. Now, I already had the video recorded. I just needed some multiplayer gameplay to go over the top. But Treyarch put out this massive community article talking about the state of the game, what they're doing to improve it, state of the anti-cheat, and all that stuff. And it covered a lot of the negative things that I believe are impacting multiplayer, as well as some of the things that I wanted to see come to multiplayer. Didn't cover all of it, so I'm going to be first going over this article, talking about things that they are doing to improve the game, and then we'll talk about my feedback wasn't talked about in this article. So it's kind of a two for one, but let's hop into it. We're going to start off with server stability, packet loss, and lobby crashing. This was probably the number one complaint that I had about multiplayer. The connection experience for me has felt so bad through the entire camo grind. It has slowly gotten better as time passed, but it was incredibly frustrating to deal with. But it was the number one thing detracting from the fun I had playing this game. So let's see what they're saying. We've seen community reports of increased rubber banding, packet loss notifications, and server disconnects in recent weeks, especially in ranked play, and in certain regions where some players may not have access to as many servers as others. It's also in pubs. I don't play ranked play, and since launch, I have had pretty much permanent packet loss and packet burst notifications on the side of my screen. I don't have terrible internet either. Like it's fiber internet, but the connection experience for me has been pretty bad, even in pubs. We have been monitoring match activity closely, including identifying suspicious accounts that appear in multiple crash lobbies. The team at Demonware has narrowed down some specific causes of these issues that can affect all players, and new improvements have been made to Call of Duty server infrastructure this week to reduce targeted cases of malicious activities on our infrastructure and players. While this is an industry-wide issue, we remain committed to combating individuals and organizations who intend to ruin the gameplay experience for others. Awesome. I'm very excited to see what sort of infrastructure they've been able to implement and how good it feels now. With these new improvements now in place for both Black Ops 6 and Warzone, we've already seen improvements in stability on the back end. While this isn't a one-size-fits-all solution for every potential issue with the online experience, we're confident in the results we've already seen in practice. In addition to these improvements, the team has also solved some server issues in regions that had recently experienced instability, and will continue to act quickly to resolve these as they pop up. As always, the Call of Duty teams will continue to keep a close eye on performance and make adjustments as necessary. Now, we've been here before. In the past, they've talked about how they're working hard to improve the connection experience, and to be fair, this year at least, every time they've said that they've been working on it, it has improved a bit. At least for me, it has. So when they say that they've made a bunch of improvements, I'm going to believe them. But of course, we need to just wait and see how well that feels. Especially on semi-auto weapons like the marksman rifles and sniper rifles, those felt the absolute worst. Constantly seeing blood fly out of enemies that didn't even get a hit marker, or you would be aimed right on somebody's head. You would shoot, nothing would come out. Really frustrating. Next, I go on to talk about the destructive behavior team and voice moderation. I don't really use the game chat in game. I'm not much of a trash talker, but I have friends who are, and they have been banned. I'm not really a huge fan of their moderation systems being like AI based. I think it's just a bad idea having AI, because an AI can't tell, oh, is this a group of friends just joking around with each other, or oh, is this actually malicious? It's just going to ban while missing a lot of the nuance and context that you need for human interaction. All right, now here we get into some of the gameplay updates and quality of life improvements. So to start out, we're getting a challenge tracker. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Separate HUD presets, which is a W. This one is huge. This one is probably the number two thing on my list that was really detracting from the experience from like someone who spams like the small maps and stuff. The collision with teammates in tight spaces and doorways was so infuriating, but they are reducing that collision to improve maneuverability around tight spaces and doorways with nearby teammates. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This was such a massive problem in Vanguard, MW2 and MW3 because all those had shipment. A lot of times you get stuck in that crate spawn and you just couldn't get out because people were standing in the entryway to that crate. Now in this game there aren't very many spawns where you have to exit a doorway like off rip, so it's not like as massive of an issue as it was in those previous games, but it still happened enough that it was just so infuriating. So thank you for that. We're getting a weapon balance pass. I think the weapon balance in this game right now is pretty decent. There's definitely some annoying outliers like the Jackal, the Krieg, and the Sog are the main ones that come to mind for me. I wouldn't mind seeing those knocked down like a peg or so. They're not like, I don't want them to just be in the dirt. Still like them to be usable, but definitely got to tune it down a bit. And we already know that the next weapons that are coming in for next season are going to be ultra overpowered anyways. There's going to be bullet penetration updates. I think that's good. I didn't think that the bullet penetration was all that bad, if I'm being honest, but I wouldn't mind updates to it where you would need to run FMJ for any sort of serious penetration. Pause. Further reducing weapon motion when jumping, sliding, and diving with the dexterity perk equipped. Dexterity in did not make much sense in perk slot 1, which is like just crammed full of like all the best perks, which Treyarch, please need to disperse some of those perks into other slots. Like at the very least, move like dexterity and tack mask to slot 2 or something. But with this buff, I feel like it maybe has a slightly better chance to compete. I don't know that it'll be a massive chance, honestly, because of how strong the other perks are, but I like that they're trying at least. Improving player visibility and kill confirmed by reducing the height of dog tags. Yes, 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 yes. This is the main reason why I hated playing kill confirmed and have in many Call of Duties just refused to play kill confirmed because the tags just get in your way so often. But you shouldn't stop there because also look when you're looking at the flags in like domination or the point in hardpoint, a lot of times those icons can be in the way as well. I think you need to look at those and maybe raise those a bit too. But the main arbitrator was the tags and kill confirmed. You just had such a hard time seeing through them. So thank you for this. Simplifying / expanding requirements for several prestige calling card challenges. W. Later in Season 2, we're planning on adding an icon over an opponent's head when you shoot them if they have Warcry active, so you know they've got faster health regen. Yes, thank you. We really needed this information because sometimes you'd be shooting somebody, they get in cover, then they'd immediately reach out, and you'd have to almost kill them over again to be able to win the battle, and you had no idea why. So thank you for this. All right, expanding the number of featured playlist slots. W. I think we need Nuketown 24/7 to stay, and we need I would like a mosh pit between Stakeout 24/7 and Racket 24/7, like a Stack It or Rack Out. Yeah, not Rack Out, not Rack Out, but a 24/7 playlist of those two maps I think would be great because I think they serve different purposes and they're good at different things in regards to camo grinding. And then you'll also have like a party mode playlist plus any of the new map, 24/7 playlists for those. And you got obviously 10v10 and all that stuff. So adding more feature playlist slots is fantastic. Bringing Gunfight back to feature playlist, massive W. Keeping Stakeout 24/7 a feature playlist and quick play, massive W. I still think they need to make one that has Stakeout and Racket in it, but I'm not mad at just a Stakeout by any stretch of the imagination. Planning a small maps mosh pit shortly after season launch for camo grinders, massive W. Small maps are where it's at. Even if I'm not camo grinding, I'm smashing my face in those small maps because it's fun to fling yourself at the enemies and just get in as many engagements as possible. For me, that's how I like to play. The old brain rot play style. High profile bug fixes. Gearhead will now properly increase the charge rate of field upgrades. Gearhead is a very nice perk. I don't use it as much because I crutch on the Enforcer specialty. That's just my play styles. So having the health regen and speed increase is like massive for me, but I liked using Gearhead a lot before I became an Enforcer crutch. Free for all will accurately calculate the scoreboard by kills, and the winner circle will accurately showcase the top 3 free for all players. W, that was such a weird bug. All right, ranked play. I don't play ranked play but like a vote to forfeit feature is amazing. But disabling crossplay for console players, huge. I'm a PC player, but trust me, I get it. This will severely cut down on cheating for console players. Vote to forfeit is really nice. Rejoining rank play matches also very nice. And there's new rank play rewards, which is camos, a jackal blueprint, and a decal. So for all you rank play enjoyers, hopefully this moves the needle for you, as well as the general anti-cheat updates, which I know that was first in this article, but I'm gonna do it at the end. Zombies, we went through this in the 115 day update, so we're not gonna go through that. Before we get into these Warzone updates, there's a few more things that I want to talk about when it comes to multiplayer that weren't in this. Number one, I think the capture radius for domination is too big. I don't like that it basically covers up an entire lane, because you can't really sneak by it on certain maps. It's sort of, you have to announce your presence. You can't just sneak around a flag to try to get some spawn kills and stuff like that, or to, do a massive flank. So I think the radius needs to be like shortened. I think the wall hacks that are on Recon need to be removed altogether. I don't care how much you nerf it. I don't think it has a place in Call of Duty. Lethals tend to clip through objects a lot, and it is extremely annoying. I think those definitely need some work. The score streaks, they feel too weak in my opinion. Either need to buff the score streak themselves or nerf the score cost. I think maybe a mix of both would do good. There was the patch notes that they put out for, I believe it was Season 1 Reloaded. They did this for some of the score streaks, and I think those turned out really well. So I think you need to take another look at a lot of the score streaks, especially the higher score ones, and think about buffing those a bit. Speaking of score streaks, I would like to see attack dogs, minigun, and war machine return, especially the attack dogs for those maps where chopper gunner just sucks, which is a lot of maps. Theater mode crashes every single time I try to use it. I tried to use it to get gameplay for this video, and I just couldn't use it. It crashed every time. It's something that I want to use because I think theater mode is an excellent feature that needs to be in every Call of Duty, but I can't use it. Next, I would like to see an option for enemy health bars like Cold War and Black Ops 4 had. I understand some players don't like seeing the health bars, so that's why I would like to see an option. I would definitely use it. I would also like to see a game style that has no streaks, no lethals, no tacticals, no field upgrades, just straight up gunplay. It's something that we had been wanting for a long time in Destiny, and I think it would also work well in a game like this, so you can just purely focus on gunplay. You don't have to worry about anything else other than pointing your gun and shoot it. I know lethals and tacticals are really useful in getting people off of head glitches and powered positions, so I don't know for sure if this would be like a hit or anything. I just think it would be worth it to try. Just see what it's like. I also would like the weapon chambering or weapon inspect on every single spawn to be removed. If you want to do it on like the first time you spawn with a new weapon, or every time you pick a weapon up off the ground, I think that's fine. But on every single spawn, just spawning in and having to check your chamber, it sucks, especially when you're spawn trapped. You're spawned right in front of somebody and you don't stand a chance because your weapon isn't ready. You're already at a disadvantage when you spawn, so don't increase that disadvantage even further. I also think the spawn system is still pretty bad. I mean, I would recommend everybody go watch Exclusive Ace's videos. He's done it for like every Call of Duty. He's basically mapped out the spawns and how the system sucks, and he would be able to explain it in a much better way than I ever will. So highly recommend you go check out his videos on the spawn systems, as well as the disbanding lobbies and SBMM. There's not a feeling of community in the game like there used to be. And I'm not one of those people that's going to like ultra romanticize how the past games were. They were very fun, but that doesn't mean every single system that was in those old games needs to be brought forward. However, this is definitely a system that needs to be brought back. Don't disband the lobbies right away. And please just, if you're not going to completely remove SBMM, which I think there should be some to protect like the lower skill brackets. If you're not going to completely remove it, at least just tone it back. I'm not the greatest player out there. Usually I'm between like a 1.3 to a 1.6 KD. Nothing special at all. But every match is just an absolute slog. Still very fun. I want to be very clear. Black Ops 6's foundation is extremely solid. The game at its core is so much fun. There's just several things that are holding it back. And SBMM is something that has held pretty much every Call of Duty since MW19 back. Speaking of old things that you can maybe bring back, I would like to challenge Treyarch and other studios to come up with a way to bring uplink back. I know a big part of uplink was having the advanced movements so you could defend your goal and all that stuff. Maybe you could build maps or structures on maps that would allow you to defend. I don't necessarily have the solution, but I miss playing uplink. I think uplink is extremely fun. I would like to see that brought back, and I would also like to see One in the Chamber come back. Some of the most fun I ever had in Call of Duty was in Advanced Warfare playing One in the Chamber with the Moors. Everybody just jumping around, trying to hit crazy shots with their one bullet, and then you get to a point where you're out of bullets, so you're just sitting there running around trying to melee people who were freaking out and also trying to shoot you with their one bullet. It's just super fun, and I would love to see that come back. All right, onto some Warzone stuff. I'm not a Warzone player in general, but I have been grinding Plunder a lot, trying to get this camo done, and there's a few things that are pretty annoying in Warzone, so I'm going to move those opinions from the general video to this one since, the blog is talking about Warzone a bit. But let's see what they got. So for weapons, reload speeds are going to be faster for all weapons. Thank you, desperately needed. Reloading feels very bad in Warzone. Reduce penalty when sprint to fire jumping from 35% to 10%, and increase jump ADS speeds by 25%. The intent is to find that middle ground of being able to pull off jump shots without it being meta movement strategy. I think that's great. Pair that with also like a jump speed increase and successive jump height, and with one unmodified successive jump, aka bunny hopping. I think that is going to make gunplay in Warzone feel so much better. They're also adjusting the bullet penetration, which felt very inconsistent in Warzone in my opinion. And they're increasing weapon swap speed, basically giving you quick grip, also massive W. They're removing burst and semi-auto rifles and low rarity pistols from ground loot, which is fine. I mean, I think you should switch up the ground loot every season anyways. For movement, increase the speed of the parachute cut animation, W, making cutting your parachute and readying your weapon significantly faster. Thank you. I've died so many times where I cut my chute and I can't pull my weapon out fast enough to be able to get a kill. Now, was it a bad decision to land on that person in the first place? Yes, but we don't talk about it. Increase player velocity when landing from a cut parachute land, or smoother transition into full sprint. W, you kind of, as soon as you land, you sort of stop moving and you can't really move very well for like a second and a half. Audio, reducing reverb effects to improve directionality of movement audio produced by other players, footsteps, ascenders, parachutes. W, I have so much trouble hearing parachutes directionally. Like I can definitely hear somebody flying in, I can hear the parachute and all that stuff. It's just a lot of times I cannot tell what direction it's coming from, and it bugs the hell out of me. Or there'll be someone flying in like hundreds of meters away, and it sounds like they're right on top of me for some reason. That's also very annoying. Perks, Combat Scout pings are replaced with an outline that is not visible through walls. W, again, wall hacks should never be in Call of Duty. New default perks, we're getting Dexterity with increased effectiveness. W. They're also replicated Quick Grip. We're also getting Mountaineer, thankfully. It's not going to be as strong as it was during MW3, which I think is fine, but it's still going to be a very solid option, although I've kind of gotten used to not having it now, so whatever. Veteran now significantly reduces the damage takes of gas grenades. Massive. Gas grenades are easily the most annoying thing in Warzone. Equipment and skill streaks. Munition satchel now only provides one additional item, down from 2. To address overstocking and spamming equipment. I've really only played Plunder, so the only time that I'm spamming equipment is like if I need kills on enemies that are affected by equipment. So this kind of sucks for me, but I could definitely see how in like regular Warzone, overstocking and spamming equipment is like ridiculous to go up against all the time. Maximum deploy tacticals and lethals reduced to 2 each, down from 3 to make more purposeful trap plays. I think that's fine. I think especially if you're running with a team and again, my experience is in Plunder. I think especially in team modes, it becomes way too easy to lock down a building with tacticals and lethals, namely like shock charges and mines. So reducing this by a bit will make it that much easier to be able to attack players who are hunkered down in their positions. Gas grenade radius, duration, and movement penalties reduced to bring in line with the vision of a zoning tactical and less of a lethal crush. Thank you. I would be fine if they just completely removed it, but a nerf is always welcome as well. Spy camera's outline effect no longer renders through walls. Massive W. Advanced UAVs will now show elevation areas. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It didn't really make sense why the strongest UAV in the game did not also show the elevation, so very thankful that that's coming. Body shield functionality will be limited. No longer automatically releases players in a free fall. I think that's a W. No longer provides an outline of the victim's teammates through walls. Also W. Removed manual release of players, keeping them alive must end with an execution. That is an L. I think you should absolutely be able to use body shield to pick somebody up and let them go if you want to, but only if you want to. It shouldn't do it, like it shouldn't automatically trigger in a free fall and stuff like that, but you should be able to trigger it manually. Flares that fire out of buy station when a player is brought back can now be pinged, massive W, and match stat tracker font adjusted for better readability at lower resolutions. Bug fixes, we're not going to go over every single one, but I am going to highlight the ones that were annoying to me. Adjust players being forced to stand up while reviving down squad members. This was so annoying. Like on my screen, I would be prone on the ground reviving a squad member. Then I would get sniped and look at the death cam, and I'm like standing up in the wide open. Like, that is not what was happening on my screen. Fixing that is awesome. Adjust parachutes deploying when jumping off ladders. This got me killed so many times, man. It's so annoying. Thankful that it's getting fixed. Alright, that's really all the stuff in Warzone that I wanted to cover from this article, but there's still a couple things that I think need looking at. Number one, why are there UAV limits in Plunder? Like, it's Plunder, man. Matter of fact, just make it permanent UAV in Plunder. Fuck it. Give the UAV back in Battle Ready. Again, it's Plunder. This isn't regular Battle Royale. It's a mode that encourages as much engagement as possible with other teams. The pinging in Warzone absolutely sucks. Like, I'll be looking dead at a player and it'll ping a redeploy balloon like 200 yards to the right of the player that I'm looking at for some reason. Or I'm sitting there trying to ping a score streak for my friend and it'll ping a buy station that's in a completely different area. Please fix the pinging system. And finally, the challenge tracking for the camos in Warzone, for the most part, is fine. But for things like kills shortly after sliding, kills on enemies affected by your tacticals, those things just don't really track right. And also, why on earth is one of these special challenges for a sniper rifle to get 2 kills while prone in 20 seconds? 5 times. That is a horrible challenge for snipers. To get 2 kills within 20 seconds, you have to be very aggressive. And snipers are not good at being aggressive in Warzone. You also can't one-shot unless you're like within 50 meters. So I think that challenge needs to be changed altogether. But that's going to wrap it up for like my Warzone feedback. So let's go back up to the top and talk about the anti-cheat. So we have an update from the Ricochet anti-cheat team. Now, me personally, I could count on one hand the amount of times that I've come across a cheater in this game. I think I've seen one definitive cheater in Warzone, and that's because he was getting all headshots with an AS Val at like 100 meters. Like, brother, why are you cheating in Plunder? But I also think that there's a mass hysteria in the community about cheating, where anytime somebody gets killed by somebody who's better than them, they just call him a cheater. Like, bro, I'm not very good at the game, and in my very first Plunder game, I was getting accusations. If you think it's wild that Tim the Tabman gets accusations, it should be even more wild that somebody as dog shit as me is getting accusations. Just accept that sometimes players are better than you. That does not mean that they're cheating. However, this is also a problem that stems from the Ricochet anti-cheat not doing a good enough job at keeping hackers out. So players feel that they have to question, was that legit? Was that not legit? And guess what? You have a bad night, you're kind of getting shit on, and you just decide, nah, this person's cheating, and you go and spam report them, and now you have them shadow banned even though they aren't cheating. So while I do think it's a problem in the community that people just think anybody better than them is cheating, that problem stems from anti-cheat not doing his job. But let's see what they have to say about this update. So live now are new layers of security and protections against cheaters in Call of Duty, as well as updates to protect the competitive integrity of the game. They've updated detection models for behavioral systems such as aimbotting and other data points, including account trust and hardware identifiers to target serial cheaters. There's been over 136,000 ranked play account bans since the mode launched, enhancing cross-examination tools focused on reducing the time it takes to action accounts, new detection and warning systems for spam reporting by accounts. Now, Call of Duty will say that spam reporting an account, 10,000 reports, it will only consider a single report from a player. But not that I necessarily trust these cheat accounts that say that it does actually consider those 10,000. But I mean, there's a lot of anecdotal evidence to say otherwise. There's new detection and warning systems for repeat playing with cheaters' behavior. Definitely need that. Anybody who is cheating and every accomplice they have needs to be banned. We've seen community questions about detection methods like IP-based banning. We do not utilize IP-based bans for anti-cheat because they tend to take action against entire groups within a range that aren't problematic. For example, a college campus or internet cafe would be swept up in an IP-based ban wave when only a single machine was targeted. I think that's fine. It makes sense. But I feel like there's also more that you could do with this. Like, you can obviously tell when an IP is for a college campus or an internet cafe. So if you know that an IP isn't something that would impact a large community like this, you should still be IP banning. Now, granted, players can just spoof the IP. They can spoof their hardware. So a lot of this stuff isn't necessarily a catch-all or anything. It's not going to work 100% of the time, but it's something, right? In December, we announced that we're implementing major upgrades to the currently online and active kernel level driver for Season 2, as well as upgrades to server-side systems in early 2025. Here's more on what to expect from these updates and when they're set to be added. So in Season 2, we're going to get new and improved client and server-side detections and systems, a major kernel level driver update, improvements to driver security and reinforced encryption process, and a new tampering detection system. In Season 3 and beyond, they're going to have a multitude of new tech, including a brand new system to authenticate legit players and target cheaters. As we get closer to Season 3, we'll dive a little deeper on these systems. However, it's important we don't provide too many details that could give cheat developers a peek behind the curtain. This all sounds very nice. I especially like a system to authenticate legit players. I think that's a great move. However, we've been here 1,000 times. We know that they've talked a lot and haven't followed through. So I'm a bit skeptical, and I don't think the community trusts Ricochet. And I'm sure a large portion of the community will never trust Ricochet because its track record is just bad. But I personally am going to continue to have hope that these will eventually get a wrangle on cheating. I'm hopeful for all of these updates, to be honest. I know the servers have been slowly improving, so I'm excited to see that next step that they're claiming they're going to take here with the server stability. I feel like this game has such a great base to it, and I'm excited to see what kind of content and other updates we get for Season 2 to hopefully make this game even better and a lot more fun and fix a lot of the things that are taking away from the great experience that this game provides. Alright, well, that's going to wrap it up. I'm going to have one more video going over just general things about the game, as well as some points on the campaign and other things that didn't really fit into one category. So I'll be getting that out next week, as well as whenever the patch notes come out for Season 2, so we know exactly what we're getting. I'll get a video out about that as well. But thank you guys for all the love and support. It's been an absolute blast, and I will catch you all in the next one. Peace!